Thank you for joining us today for the Fresh Fire Ministries podcast. We're so glad that you are here. I want to tell you, as I do at the top of the podcast most every time, how that you can subscribe and become a regular listener of this podcast. If you're not already following our page on Facebook, I want to encourage you to do that. That's Fresh Fire Ministries, Hogansville, Georgia. And when you get to that page, you'll click the follow button on it. Or YouTube is Fresh Fire Ministries with Aaron McCullough. And when you get to that page, you're going to click the subscribe page or button. And that way, you'll be able to stay up with us whatever we're doing. We do a lot of different podcasts. And so you don't want to miss them. And I will mention this too, that we are doing a daily devotion, Monday through Friday devotion, that I'd love for you to be a part of too. And if you'll like or follow either Facebook or YouTube, you can receive those every day. All right. Thank you for being with us. We're proud today to have my good buddy, preacher friend, and all around nice guy, Brother Steve Sexton, with us today. Now, Steve is taking a cancer journey.
Yes, it is.
Headed toward healing. And this is our third podcast that we've done, just documenting his journey and what he's experiencing, for the express thought of that somebody watching these podcasts may be going through a similar journey, or may have a family member that's going through a similar journey. So if this is you, if you're going through this journey or know somebody that is, then have them tune into the podcast, and maybe it will be a blessing to them as well. Now, if you haven't already watched the first two podcasts we've done on this, then I encourage you to go back and watch those, and then also watch this today. And today we're kind of going to pick up with it. It's been about 2 months, I think it's been, since we did our last video or podcast. So we're going to just dive in today and have a conversation. Hey, and y'all come on in. You're welcome to join our conversation. All right, I'm gonna let Steve begin by telling us what the difference in chemotherapy and immunotherapy.
Right. With chemotherapy, which I don't have to do, is a lot more aggressive, and it targets rapidly developing cancers that are growing fast. But when you do that, it tends to kill off a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of side effects from that. And immunotherapy targets your immune system to strengthen your immune system, but at the same time it's strengthening it, it's pulling away from other things in your body. Like one of the immunotherapies they had me on, that one of the side effects from it was pneumonia. So I had pneumonia for almost 6 months, so they took me off that. They got me through the pneumonia, and they started me on another one, which caused my mouth to just get raw where I couldn't eat anything. So I just came off of that, and they started me on a third one, which the side effect from it really isn't that bad because I'm not hungry. I put on 30 pounds with the other ones. And now
I told him before we come on camera, I needed that.
that one's doing pretty good. I almost have to remind myself to eat, because even the thought, Peggy was telling me they were having lunch brought in at work the other day, and when she mentioned the restaurant, it just made me sick to my stomach. And I don't know why. I don't want to say the name of the restaurant, but just I don't know why it made me sick. I don't even want to go out and eat. I'm content to just eat what I can at home. But that's the difference between those, but they're both hard to go through, and they both have side effects. Chemotherapy is probably, I would say, harder on somebody, but immunotherapy is just as hard, because it makes you it increases your immune system, but it decreases it in other areas and makes you susceptible.
Always a trade-off.
There's always a trade-off with all of that.
I'll say this. Steve and I were talking earlier, and I told him, I said, you're talking about side effects on medicines. I said, you might as well say, if it can cause it, it might as well tell him, Steve, you will have this.
Yeah, that's right. That's so true. Well, I make it a point not to read the labels until I start feeling sick and then go back and see, yeah, that was that. Because if I found out if you go back and read all the side effects, then you're going to be thinking you've got those. So it's best not to. And
don't pre-program
Don't pre-program yourself or anything like that. And I have tried some natural remedies that I'm using, and just waiting to see how much of those help. And it's stuff that the City of Hope will tell you. We're not. They can't recommend it, but they just said, try it. Try it. If it helps you, then try it. But I haven't tried the gummy bears yet. Even though they've given me a prescription for them, I've not tried the gummy bears yet because I'm going to hold off on that. I'm going to hold off on that for a while. But also, too, what I've learned to do is when I would go down to the cancer center and I would see people in really bad shape, and I would think, well, what I got's nothing. And I've learned not to think of your cancer that way, because your cancer is what you're going through, and that's what they're going through. Theirs may be a lot harder than yours, but you're not going through that, and you're going through cancer too, and it's just as important. Your cancer is just as important as theirs.
Yes.
And it's hard sometimes to get that mindset in you, but it's just as difficult what you're going through.
What I'm hearing you say is there is no big cancer and little cancer.
No,
there's
no big or little.
Yeah.
And there's, they can do all they want. They've been twice. I've been up there and they thought I had lung cancer. First one I didn't. Went back to the second one. I'm almost like, are you trying to give me lung cancer? Twice we've been through this, and that's a lot of pressure on the family because that's real aggressive, lung cancer, and it is the whole process, and anybody out there that's going through it, it's a lot on your family.
Yeah.
It's a lot on your wife and your children because they're scared. They're scared. My daughter's real scared that maybe she might lose me. And it's hard on them, and be aware of that, and tell your family what you're going through. Tell your family how you feel. I've learned not to hide that from the family.
I was going to ask you to dig down deep into that a little bit of how you and your family process this together. I mean, what have y'all done? What do you not do? Suggestions or whatever?
We've sat down and talked about every phase I went through and every visit that I go through, and having my son-in-law work at the cancer center, he's more aware of that, and just let them know the days I don't feel good, and they understand why. It's important to let your family know what you're going through. Let them know about the journey. And some people think I'm just going to be tough. I don't need to tell them nothing. I'm fine. You're not fine. You're not fine.
You're not.
And you're robbing that support that your family can give you by not telling them what's going on, letting them know what's going on. And it makes it harder on them. Makes it harder on them.
I'm thinking about Mary Ann, who's producing today, sitting off camera, told me one day her spiritual gift, and for those watching, I'm looking that way because that's where she is, but her spiritual gift is of compassion and doing and seeing after folks. And I got up one day and I said, I'll do this, and she said, I don't want you to do that. And I said, well, why? She says, I want you to let me do that because that's my gift. And she said, when you tell me you don't want me to do that, then you've robbed me of my blessing. And I'm saying that for what you said about your family. If you, me, he man, me can handle it type deal, well, then you're robbing them of the blessing of ministering to you. Now, on the flip side of that coin, to me, you don't want to sit down and let everybody do everything.
Yeah.
But somewhere there's a happy medium in there that they're involved, they're a part of it, they are getting a blessing by blessing you. Mm-hmm. And that's what. But I'm not walking the journey. I'm walking it with you.
And that's so important to keep them informed. And you made me think about something when you said robbing somebody of a blessing. When I was in evangelism, I don't know if there was an expression I would called the $100 handshake. I don't know if I know you've experienced that. You've been in a church and somebody come up just out of the blue and shake your hand, and there's something in there, and then you get outside and it's $100 bill. And Peggy has said to me before, "Are you going to keep that?" I said, "I'm not going to rob them of their joy of giving this to me," you know. And it's so many times that has happened, and I've had it, young people that have been just starting out in ministry and evangelism, and that's happened to them. They said, "What do I do?" I said, "Thank God for the blessing, you know, thank God for the blessing, and or give it to me."
One down.
If you don't want it, give it to me. Yeah. But it's along the similar lines of that, and it's just.
I had a situation when I was pastoring at Roper Heights Baptist Church. Now, this is the whole thing we're talking on right this second is don't rob people of the blessing, let them help you. We had a thing, we didn't building campaign, building fundraising campaign. I'll get that right in a minute. And we'd done a thing, and I had challenged the folks for about 2 months ahead of time. On this certain Sunday, we're going to have what I'm calling Sacrificial Giving Sunday. And I said, by that I mean I want you to give above and beyond your tithes and offering, anything, and give sacrificially, whatever that means. And it'd mean different things for different folks. Mm-hmm. Well, I was back baptizing in the pool, ready to baptize, waiting on the curtains to come open when one of my deacons come up that we had received that offering. And he come up to me and he said, "Brother Aaron," said, "you're not going to believe what we got in the offering today." I said, "What?" He said, "A diamond ring, a lady's diamond ring." He said, "Don't you think we need to find out who gave that and give it back to him?" And I looked at him and I said, "Not on your life."
No.
And he said, "Why?" I said, "It's because some little widow, I don't know who, but some little widow woman had nothing else to give, but she had that. Yeah. And she gave sacrificially." And I said, "No, we're not going to take her blessing away from her."
I agree.
But and the whole thing centers around what we're talking about. Let folks minister to you.
Yes, let them minister to you.
And I think we'll parlay the conversation into this too, that some folks don't know how.
Exactly. They don't know what to say. They don't know what to say. They think you're fragile, you know. They want to ask. And I can sense that in them. So when they ask me how I'm doing, I just tell them I'm doing good. I'm doing okay. Because I know I can sense they don't know what to say. They don't know how to react to that. Then others can ask you and you can be more honest with them because they're prepared for the answer. Where some people, they don't know what to say, you know. And I've learned, like you have, instead of asking people how you're feeling, how are you doing? How's today?
Yeah, how are you today?
Yeah, how are you today? And that gets a better that's more opens it up and shows more concern. And I have family members ask me, "How are you doing today? How's it going today?" And I got an excellent support system. And if you're going through it and you're not telling your family, you're depriving them of that blessing of helping you and depriving yourself of receiving that blessing from them, that they want to help you do things. You know, they're there for you. You know, there's a lot of things that I don't have the strength to do around the house, and I looked out this morning, my son's trimming the bushes in the front yard. Even though he's landscaper, he cuts my grass, but he doesn't have to do that. That's something I'm supposed to do, and he's out there trimming that for me, and little things like that, the kids picking up and doing things like that. And it means a lot to me because I can't do it right now, and I want to do it. I understand what it's like when you get to a point in your life when you want to do things and you can't do the things you loved to do before. I got a good glimpse of that with this cancer when you just don't have the strength to do it. Many a times on Sunday morning when I finish leading worship, I am so tired. I've went home before. I've just had to go home. I've been so tired and just couldn't make it. And if my son or my son-in-law sees me go in the back after I lead the worship, they come back through to check. "Are you all right? Are you going to home or what?" And sometimes I just got to tell them, I'm just give out. And we've started our music ministry back up, and I'm leaning on my son a lot to run the PA system. I used to do that, to run the PA, to check the mics, him to set the stuff up and take it down because I don't have the strength to do it. Yeah. And it's wonderful to have family members that don't. And if you don't have family, you need to find you somebody that you know really cares about them and get them to share that walk with you. Amen. Pray God send somebody along that says, "Hey, I want to walk this journey with you." Because I was telling Brother Aaron before, when I would go visit my parents up in Kentucky, hadn't seen them in a year, and we get up there and we notice that they look a little older, they look a little more feeble, or they look different. And if you got somebody that's walking this journey with you and only seeing them maybe every 3 or 4 weeks, they'll be more attuned to the small changes that your family don't see.
That's right.
They're attuned to that, and they're more concerned because they can see those little differences. Right. And it makes a big help. It's a big help.
Yep. Everybody needs somebody.
Yes, they do.
We're not islands unto ourselves. Everybody needs somebody. Steve and I, we text a lot and whatever, get together every 3 or 4 weeks and whatever. But this is what he's talking about. He'll send me a text out of the blue, say, I feel like today.
Yeah.
Young feeling what you want to. He don't use them words, but and it's all right to do that. It's all right. There's nothing expected, nothing whatever.
Right.
And but it's just a vent, an avenue, a way to get it out. Somebody heard, somebody knows, somebody cares. Amen. What about your church? You get a good support system out of your church?
Got a wonderful support system in the church. They're there for me, and they're very supportive. I know I lead the worship, and many times I'm out, but I've spent time working with my son and another young man in the church that can lead worship. And when I'm out, and I was out a lot with when I first had the cancer, they never said a thing. I'm on staff at the church, and nothing changed with that. And that's a big thing right there. They could have, and they're, anything I needed. I don't know how many times we've had prayer, for me, and come forward and have prayer for me. And I share with them what I'm going through. I let the church know, and I try and be. When I'm up there getting ready to lead a song, I'm more apt to talk a little bit more about the cancer, share a little bit more about that, because I'm sharing it with a group of people.
Sure.
And an individual don't feel like they're on the spot when you're telling them, when you're trying to tell them
that's
something.
Good idea. That's a good idea.
You're sharing it with a whole group of people, and it makes a difference. And every Sunday, people ask me, how are you doing? And I try my best to tell them I'm doing okay. But this past Sunday was a rough Sunday. So when I went in and people said, how are you doing today? I'm not having a good day today. You need to pray for me. I just felt I had to be honest that day.
Well,
I'm sorry. I'm not having a good day. It's rough today. And they said, well, we'll be praying for you. We know it's going rough. They're very supportive. And that's one of the greatest things, too, to have a church that's supportive of you and is there for you. And my son, I've been singing lead with our family group for years, or from day one, and I've got to where now I get out of breath. I just say, Dalton, this is while we're up there singing, get the next verse. And he's sung them so much, he's able to just pick right up into the verse. And people will think, oh, Dalton's singing now, and they don't know the real reason why. I'm about to pass out up there.
I will say this. As we're sitting in the studio recording this podcast, this Sunday before, we had Steve and his family at the church, and we had a wonderful time.
Yeah.
We had them there on a Sunday night, and he and his whole family come in, and they did the singing, did their thing, singing wise, and then Steve preached a little while afterward, and but it was great. It was totally great. You ought to get him, but he was spent when it was through. He sat down beside me on the pew, and I put my hand by, and he was wet all the way through his T-shirt and his shirt, and it wasn't because he preached that hard, but I'm sure it was the cancer.
It's the cancer and the medications, and the one of the medications which I'm off that caused that the most, which I'm glad to be off. I could just get up out of a chair and I'm soaked just from movement, and I'm glad I'm off of that. I'm not sweating as much, but still, it still wears me out. Like that one point I said, okay, Bubba, you got to come and sing. I can't sing no more. I got to drop back to a part. I can't sing the lead no more. I know I was going to pass out if I had to do another song.
But it was good.
Oh, we enjoyed it. We enjoyed it.
Well, I think probably our takeaway of today's podcast is, if you're walking, number one, if you're the one who is walking the journey, don't alienate others. Don't put your walls up. And I would imagine it would be easy to think, well, they don't like hearing all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't want to be a bother.
Exactly.
No, be a bother.
Yeah.
I mean, tell them.
Let them know.
Don't alienate people. And on the second hand, on the other side of that coin, family, minister to them.
Yeah.
And make sure that you're doing what they need doing. But I think there's a third thing too, and that would be not to treat them differently.
Right.
You've had this happen as a preacher and a pastor, and I don't like this. I respect it, but I don't like it. When you go into a setting where there's a crowd there, and somebody will holler, "Oh, hey, preacher," and you know good and well all they doing is warning that whole crowd that the preacher's in the crowd.
Yeah.
And don't act like you normally act when they. And I'm saying, look, don't act different just because I'm around. And I've had fun. I'm running a rabbit, but I've had folks say, "Preacher, I didn't mean to say that. Forgive me." And I said, "Look, I ain't the one you got to be worried about. It's God you got to be worried." But I would think that line of thought would hold true.
Oh, yeah.
And don't treat me different just because I got cancer. Don't pull your punches.
He has cancer.
Yeah. Oh, he got cancer. It might rub off on us.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming in and doing this today. Y'all stay tuned. Turn back. I'm going to date myself here. Same bat time, same bat channel. We'll do more as we chronicle the adventures of Steve Sexton and his family on his cancer journey. God bless y'all. Have a great rest of your day today.